Welcome back to Sic'Em 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
For those of you joining us just now on the show, we had some great people in our building, in our studio earlier today from the U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, and that is the helmet, the black mat helmet, the U.S. Army recruiting helmet on our set today. We're now joined by Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. And Mack, thank you for your time. What a weekend. What a tremendous weekend. Craig just mentioned that Saturday will be exactly 365 days, and Baylor and Oklahoma State are meeting for the third time in that span. Can you even see a scenario where this game's not completely sold out?
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, we're close, and we certainly would like to announce a sellout before we kick it off. And quite frankly, I'd be really disappointed if we didn't have a sellout. I think this particular opponent game, Oklahoma State, I think it's turning into a great rivalry for the Big 12. And you think about last year in the Big 12 championship game and the attendance at the game itself, second largest in Big 12 champ game history, and the viewership, the numbers of people that watched, certainly ahead of the ACC and the Pac-12 by a long shot. And two teams that are again ranked, highly ranked. And I think it's turning into a great rivalry. I certainly personally have tremendous respect for the Oklahoma State athletic program. I did when Coach Holder was the athletic director, and certainly that hasn't changed under Chad Weiberg and Coach Gundy, which we all know. He spent a little time here at Baylor. Has done an unbelievable job. I think I can speak on behalf of Coach Aranda. He's got great respect for Coach Gundy and their staff and their program. So, I'm looking forward to a great college football game. And yes, this game should be a sellout. We shouldn't just sell out when we play Oklahoma and Texas. This game means a lot. Home field advantage means a lot when we think about outcome of game, and I think the outcome of game will certainly play a part in how teams finish down the line. And I know that there's been a little bit of activity on the secondary market, meaning certainly not a lot, but there are some that hold season tickets right now that are putting their tickets on the secondary market. Again, just be real candid, disappointing. And we need Baylor fans in the stands this Saturday for our kickoff versus Oklahoma State.
Are Baylor fans good at paying attention to various colors that you want to be the main core of the stadium at football games?
Yeah, I think when we've done that in the past, I think our fans have done a great job of buying in. And as this is the gold, and we want our fans to show up in gold and show out. And, we're giving away 20,000 gold pom-poms. They'll be available at every gate. We've got 3,000 rally towels that we're giving away at Touchdown Alley. So, hopefully we walk into that stadium and it's all gold, and we know that Oklahoma State will have some fans there, and there'll be a little bit of orange, but it needs to be just an accent of orange, and the majority needs to be gold.
Mack, you mentioned about the budding rivalry. Well, Oklahoma State is losing their biggest rival. They're going to another conference. You guys, this is a whole new thing. Is this one of the more exciting parts of the coming new Big 12 conferences? You're going to have new rivalries that all of a sudden were kind of in the middle of the road, but now mean the world to everybody?
Yeah, I think so. You look at, both of the football programs and even beyond, just football. But Oklahoma State is a great program, and they're certainly nationally relevant. And I think it's a game that college football fans are going to be excited to watch. Not just Baylor fans and Oklahoma State fans, but college football fans. And we've got a long tradition and rivalry with TCU, and that I think that will only continue to get stronger. But this is an opportunity for something, another matchup that I think is special within the Big 12.
Mack, your thoughts on kind of another little rivalry. I think that's got some heat to it, which is Baylor and Iowa State. It seems like every time these two teams play, there's always just some crazy game. But your thoughts on being able to go into Ames and learning from the trip to BYU, obviously a couple weeks ago, but just also getting better over the last couple weeks. What'd you make of that outcome?
Yeah, I think probably the best word would be just relief. That's a really good football program, and again, have the greatest respect for Iowa State and Coach Campbell, and that's a really, really hard place to win. We know that well. We hadn't won there since 2016, and I think going in, the series was like 11-9, us with a slight edge. You look at the last couple games, really, really close. Last year, our place, we had to, have an interception on the 2-point conversion. And so it's always a battle with them. And I really respect personally the way they play football. There's a toughness to them. There's a physicality to them. They're well coached. And that's just a really hard place. I can't remember the statistic, but I think you guys probably know it better than me, but, I think they had a 11-game, Big 12 winning streak there at home, something like that. And so proud of our team. And, I think every game, our younger guys, and we're playing a lot of young men, that they're getting just a little bit better each and every game. So it was really a big win for us. And not to overstate it, we're going to have to play, no doubt, this Saturday, the best football we've played all year long to have a chance.
You're right. Yeah, 11 games, been 3 years since they had lost a Big 12 home game, Iowa State. So, yep, you're right on there.
Hey, I'm just glad we played in September rather than in November.
Yeah, so. No doubt.
Mack, there was a story about a week ago or so. There was one about North Carolina, the chancellor, and others, the president, having discussions back when the USC-UCLA story popped or whatever else. How often do you and Dr. Livingstone discuss the future of the Big 12, even though right now the season's underway with so much going on? But how often do you have conversations with her?
Probably more frequent than what maybe people would imagine. We certainly had one yesterday. We meet regularly. What is regular? I think, probably once every 2 weeks, or we try to. Sometimes just with her schedule and my schedule, we can't. But, she does that with all of her President's Council members, individuals. And so, that's certainly an opportunity for us to talk about, just Big 12 future, how we're doing, where we're going, all of those things, NCAA issues, particularly with her role on the transformation committee. So, yeah, it's pretty regular that we stay connected on those things.
Mack, not every athletic director is going to have a president who is not only as invested but as knowledgeable on sports as President Livingstone. How much easier does that make your job?
It's a great question. I think, what it does is there's certainly a support and recognition of the way we try to do things here, where, we really try to pour into our student athletes. person over player. It's, our 4 pillars. It's all of those things because, she was a student athlete and she, and obviously Brad, but they, there's an appreciation for, being a student athlete and how that can translate, later in life and your journey in life and how that can be a great help. And so I think, just the understanding and the support there, I think where I'm really grateful, is that, she trusts my team. She trusts me to run the athletic department. And, we have the freedom to make the difficult decisions and we, steer the ship and we, create our strategic initiatives and we create the vision and hold people accountable to the plan and all of that. And she's there to support all of it. And so certainly extremely, extremely grateful for that.
Mack, I asked Dave Aranda this yesterday about, and Craig had been wanting to know about the wide receivers, the transfer portal, because it was a young group. And there were a handful of guys out there that were obviously very, very talented that other teams were able to gobble up. His response to me, paraphrasing, was this: rather than go to the transfer portal, that doesn't mean you haven't, but rather than go to the transfer portal for wide receiver help, why not reconstruct the careers of receivers who have paid the price and performed for us in the past? Is that about as good an example of who he is and also that person over player?
Yeah, it is. And again, I think, it speaks to his thoughtfulness and, when you think about culture and team and unity. And I think, it's those things that he does and decisions he makes why I think we have a really tight roster, a real brotherhood within the team. And, you look at somebody like Gavin Holmes, like what a great story. And it's early, we're only 4 games in and so still, 2/3 of the season left to play, hopefully more than just 2/3 left. But, that's a great example. And certainly there's others, but, I appreciate, the thoughtfulness of really investing in what we have and carefully thinking about, that's where it starts for us versus, hey, we're immediately going to go look at the transfer portal. And there'll be times when we're going to have to use the transfer portal, but I think we'll be very strategic and thoughtful in how we do it.
How good is Dave Aranda that he is the head coach at Baylor, LSU, USC, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Florida, and now Nebraska?
Yeah, pretty good. So I would just say that, look, as long as we continue to be successful and particularly I think the way we're doing it, his name is going to be mentioned for all of those openings. And, I have a great appreciation for that. I think that speaks well to our program. It's a great reflection, not just on him, but the staff that he's put together. And primarily it's a great reflection on our student athletes. I think he's spoken about it before, but, we certainly never take anything for granted, but I know that Dave feels really good about being the head coach at Baylor University, and he recognizes that he is a terrific fit here, that he can do things the way he wants to do them, that he's going to be supported, not just by words, but by action in terms of how he wants to do it. And so, I would certainly expect, Coach Aranda to be our head coach for a long time.
Mack, is there anything that can be done about the coaching calendar? I mean, I know there's, the football calendar that you're trying to, kind of make a 365-day-a-year calendar for football that's never really been done before the NCAA. But with coaches getting fired earlier and earlier, there's 3 big jobs already open 4 weeks into the season in college football, and there'll be more to follow, especially after the trends of last year. But to keep coaches focused on the job that they have and all these other things, to be fair, the places they are, is there anything you can do to change that, or is the, kind of fish out of water there?
Yeah. Paul, I think, certainly several of us, many of us, this has certainly been a conversation with football oversight. I think commissioners have had conversation about it. And, I don't think so. And that's probably the best way that I can answer it. Genie's out of the bottle. There's with the early signing period, right? And again, I've used this example before back in December of 16 when we hired Matt Rhoades. There wasn't the early signing period, and so it gave Matt and that staff a time to put together a very depleted recruiting class. One member, remember, in Jalen Petrie, and by the way, what a game he had yesterday. Proud of him, more proud of the person he is, but just not surprised how well he's playing at the next level. But if you get rid of that early signing period, does that take some pressure off and maybe you don't have to make changes as early, because you've got this time to bring in somebody and you've got a little bit of time to recruit. I don't know if that fixes it. I think that even if we got rid of the early signing period, it's now become part of who we are and people wanting to get a head start. Now, I don't know, I don't know what you get a head start on necessarily. I mean, there's certainly things you can do, but can you really, I wouldn't think you're sitting here talking to candidates and they still have 8 games left on the, on their schedule. And look, I know I'm not naive, so I know that there's some of that's happening, unfortunately, or it's not necessarily with the candidate directly, but it's with the agent. And so that's obviously, unfortunately it is disruptive, even if it is with the agent, but that's the climate, the competitiveness, the need to win, and win early and no patience is driving all of this.
Mack, it does seem though, the governance, or the transformational committee, and again, Dr. Livingstone's involved in a lot of this, that even though the genie's out of the bottle, the dam broke because of a couple of years where everything just was wide open, it does seem like they're starting to at least grab, I don't know if it's control, but starting to maybe put a little bit more, okay, this, like for example, the transfer portal windows. There seems to be a little bit of, okay, too many things happen too quickly. Now, even though it may be too late, let's kind of bring some of this back in. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think there's some that we can maybe tweak and self-correct. And, obviously, this intersection of the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, I don't think it's been good for our sport, for college athletics, and particularly, maybe more so in men's basketball than any other sport, but you're certainly seeing it in football and women's basketball and some others. And so I think the transfer portal piece, the windows, the implementation of the windows will be helpful. And still hanging on to, because there was conversation about, potentially, allowing student athletes to transfer once per year. Now all of a sudden, if that happens, right, it's a whole different ball game. And so, this idea of just being able to transfer just the one time. And so I think that's important that we're hanging on to that. I think, probably the biggest challenge out there for the transformation committee and just for college athletics is name, image, and likeness. And can it really be sustainable way it is? You're starting to hear murmurs of particularly, just at some other places where, there have been donors, individuals that have, provided, significant amount of money and that student athlete leaves or that student athlete doesn't perform at the level that they expected him or her to perform at. You're starting to see things like, comparisons of football male student athletes versus female student athletes. And so is this really, really sustainable? And so, I think that's going to be something that we'll keep our eyes on. And is there a natural organic self-correction, or is there a combination of both, this may be self-correction on its own and some different legislation down the road, whether it's via, the NCAA or it's via federal government or both.
Have you ever had to contact a booster or donor and tell them to calm down?
Wow. Yeah. Yes. I don't. I'm just trying to remember. I don't know that I've had to since I've been at Baylor, but I've had to do that before.
Okay. Mack, thank you very much. See you Saturday. Ought to be a great day. Oklahoma State, Baylor, a fantastic game among the top 25 and also with major implications in the Big 12. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate you all. Thank you.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us Tuesdays, most every Tuesday.